Well, I'm not even going to pretend that this is going to be a quick one. I have been messing around with the mini excavator for a while now, and these things are all about cheap. Just as cheap as you can get them, as cheap as you can fix them, cheap as you can mod them. So that brings up the next issue. Ones with pilot controls are incredibly jerky. They bounce around. You know, you'll let go of the stick and that boom gets going, and it's like riding a buck and bronco. It's not fun. It's very difficult to control them. So far, I made another video about using these springs, which are from Menards. It's one spring. You just have to have either a cut-off wheel on your grinder or a good pair of snips, and you can cut them to length and use them. And it was $8, I believe, for the entire spring. I had some left over, so super cheap. I also messed with the flow control valve underneath. Now for this setup, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to put it back to how it was when I got it. I'll have to watch the video and see how many turns out I was, but I'm pretty sure I remember. Anyway, that brings me to the next subject here. The dude from springpilot.com got a hold of me and said that he was looking for a review of his springs. Now, we have two springs here. He sent them to me free, and I told him it's going to be straightforward. Probably not going to be super happy when I pit them up against some other stuff, free mods, dirt cheap mods. But anyway, springpilot.com. This one here, the more bronze ones, appear to be his second rendition of them. Claims to have some sort of coating that's anti-scratch. Now, feeling them, you can feel something on them. I'm not sure what it is. And then this is his original ones. They're softer. My initial looking at them here is you can see that they've got some grind marks on them. Must just be from where they press them and clean them up so they seat better. So now up against my Menards $8 for the entire machine. You can tell this is a lot softer spring. We'll find out here shortly. But he does have it set up shorter. I will say that it is much better because of this part right here. The spring is flat. It does not have a hook, which these springs will tend to work up your plates, and they get less productive, less useful then, I guess you'd say. Next thing is that these are sharp edges. They can get into your spool valve. Can be an issue. Now he claims that these have some sort of special coating on them that make that not happen. Now the next one is I kind of pushed this guy into doing it, and he doesn't want to put his name out on these yet because he doesn't know how long the longevity is going to be on these. These are 3D printed. I'm assuming he measured the outside of the plunger, and then somehow I might cut these open at the end unless they're whiz-bang rockstar amazing. There's some sort of squish in here, and he's got webbing, I would imagine. I cannot see. Oh yeah, maybe we can. Let's see. If I touch the screen, I don't know if this will focus or not, but if it is focusing, you can see there's like webbing and some sort of cool stuff going on in there. If I can't see, I'll try and get a picture and add that in later. Next I've seen is these little guys, if we can see or not. These are little stainless steel discs. I'm gonna have to look on the Amazon cart and see, because I got these a little bit ago. And anyway, there's for like jewelry making or something like that. We're gonna call them orifice plates for the rest of the show. So what we'll do is we'll take this little disc right here and drill the smallest drill bit that I have inside of there. I might do 2 sizes just to test it. Now this little guy is going to be more involved, and he'll have his own pros and cons. Biggest issue with these, I guess biggest pro, is that they're tunable. So it was like $8 for this pack. Now you can drill 1 hole, you can drill 2 small holes, 1 bigger hole. Things with circles and flow charts is like a hole that's twice the size of the last one is like 3.5 times more flow. So it doesn't take much to change the surface area or the flow rate through a small diameter like that. Next issue is that all this is doing is restricting flow through the fitting of which you install this inside of. Now that can become an issue because you still have, so let's go into shop class for a second here. So we have the engine over here and the pump, and that's pushing out high pressure. Now we have a fitting right here, and then that goes out to your cylinder. Now if you put an orifice plate in here, this line is still high pressure and the flow is reduced. Now the flow will be reduced into this cylinder, giving you a better feel. Eventually the flow will allow enough fluid to go by to where it deadheads into the cylinder, and then the pressure will equalize on the other side. Flow and pressure are different. It's very confusing, fluid dynamics. I don't know enough about it. I do know this much. But on this side of the hose, you'll have a higher pressure than you will on this for a certain amount of time. You continue to hold the stick, you will get full power at your cylinder, but the more you reduce the flow, the higher the pressure, and as it's getting forced through this little tiny, I mean, we're talking a hole, if you can even see that, like that, 1 millimeter, I think is what guys are saying. Through that, you're forcing all that fluid, you are going to create an immense amount of heat. Now, heat on these little things is already a thing to be concerned about. So, pros and cons there. Anyway, that's enough rambling. Now for some demonstrations here. I picked up a fish scale that's hopefully charged. So springs are measured by how much compression it takes to reduce the spring 1 inch. So if you have a spring rate of 10 pounds, it takes 10 pounds of squish to reduce the spring by 1 inch. You get into four-wheelers, snowmobiles, dirt bikes, cars, trucks, buggies, whatever. You know, you're talking 500 pounds per 1 inch, like a pickup truck, 3/4 ton. I mean, those are 700 pounds, 1,000 pounds per inch. I think some of them are progressive load. Springpilot.com. Number 1, first rendition, old school spring test. 1/2 inch of pull, just maxed out. 15 pounds. Okay, straight poundage. Spring Pilot. It's number 2. Second rendition. 1/2 inch of pull, which I can't get. 22 pounds, which is short of a 1/2 inch. Is the unnamed. I'm going to squish it a couple times because I'm going to assume that that'll change the reading. Okay, so we'll go 0 pounds, 3 inches to a 1/2 inch. It's 23 pounds, but somehow it's I don't know how to describe that. It's a different feel. Like it was softer to get to it, but then it bottomed out. So maybe that's just a function of the squish or the skinny. Now, obviously, the oddball out on this is going to be the orifice plates, but this is more of a budget shootout than anything. So now I'm going to go outside, figure out some sort of contraption that I can put this on the sticks and pull and see how much leverage it takes to tip the stick over. It's going to be a long one. We're going to take the bonnet, whatever, shielding thing off of here. Here's what you got cooking underneath. Here's what everybody's trying to do. You have valves that go around. When you tip, it presses that valve. Underneath here is a block. When you push that, it lets fluid go through in the pilot system, which then goes up there and controls a spool valve that will allow more fluid, or the fluid, to go out to the controlled cylinders or actions, whatever. So here we have, we're going to hook this up at the top every time, try and keep this as even. That is going to be very light. 1.5 pounds to pull that over. Now for the menards spring, which I cut long, and I will show you how it looks when you first install. I believe I'll just zoom in here. But the problem is when you continue to use it, all of a sudden this hook gets up on top, and then it can continue to walk its way around, and eventually ending up somewhere in like so, and it's doing a lot less. Now if you check them, that's up to you. So we'll put it in as installed. 0 pounds, menard spring. 3 pounds, 3.2 pounds of force to get to the exterior. Springpilot.com. Number 1, installation. Now it does look better. You do have a little bit of free play here. 2 pounds. So we're only getting 2 pounds of resistance, which is only 1 additional pound. Springpilot.com. Second rendition. Now it appears to be slightly taller and more stiff. 0 pounds. 3.4 pounds. 3.4 pounds to exterior. Now for the most interesting is the 3D printed one here. Install is nice. Over to the edge is 3.6 pounds. So everything's kind of right in the middle here. Next step will be this. So we'll start installing all of them and just kind of playing with the stick with the machine off. Alright, we'll keep it in order here. Menards $8 spring. So now you have a lot faster snapback, a lot less jiggling. It's still there. Don't try to do that when you're running your machine, but it happens sometimes. Well, let's do. So it settles out after about 2. Should I start it and do that too? See how big a mess I can make of everything? For the do not try this at home portion, number 1 spring. lot more free play in it. Springmods.com, first rendition. Yes, I know, I just haven't gotten to it yet. Much improved. I would highly recommend not getting one, getting the second one, if that's the option you're going to go. It'd be something to look at, but tight stick. Now they are wearing in already. Okay. There's the bucking bronco test. I can tell you without having to watch anything, the winner of the bucking bronco test is the 3D printed things. I guess we'll switch everything over and I'll do a little bit of pretend digging. I suppose I could walk down and do some actual digging. I'll have to think on that one. And now for the last one before I start digging. Orifice plates have entered the chat. I have two sizes drilled out, I think. One is a 16th. These three are 1/16 inch holes. Teeny tiny. I can't even, I don't know. Incoherent rambling. Yeah, there's a 16th and there's a 3/32. If you can see any of that. Biggest thing if you're doing orifice plates is you have to take lines off. Make sure the boom is on the ground, you're not underneath it, and nothing that you care about is underneath pinch points, anything like that. So to piss more people off on this section, I'm only going to put one in per cylinder because fluid goes in, fluid comes out. It's a closed system. You put one in one side, the other side's going to do the same thing. So just for this one now, I'm going to install the 1/16 inch hole drilled orifice plates into the bucket, the stick, and the boom, and then we'll get back to it. One 1/16 inch orifice plates installed on half, or one inlet or outlet, one orifice plate per cylinder, installed, no springs. Time out. Take two. orifice plate, 16th inch hole. I have a secondary condition, and it has become problematic. The charging system is failing, which is going to be the next video, and I'm running out of juice, so I'm going to put the charger on it, and then we'll take two tomorrow. Initial thoughts are, boy, if you put springs on with an orifice plate, I might just deal with the heat. I didn't want to do it because of the heat concern, but boy, that felt pretty slick. So take two. See you tomorrow. Well, only because I mentioned it, will I do a quick one here. Yeah, that's the engine mounting bracket. So if you want to change the oil, all that stuff, anyway, pulled it out because I thought it was the charging system. Turns out it was the starter. The starter is right here. Some of the brushes aren't doing the brush stuff anymore. So that was a failure on that one. But anyway, I had it out and I got to thinking this thing would look pretty slick in here. So it's going to be a mess for a little bit, but I'm going to throw the gas engine in and get back to the video here. But I believe my charging issue was because, not that, where'd it go? Voltage regulator. This wire was not connected to anything. But in case you're wondering what it looks like, also I added this in here. Air will come in here, out the other side, there it goes. The hydraulic cooler fan will not be fighting for the same airflow that the engine cooling fan is using with this diverter. So I think that'll help immensely. One thing to check on your machine quick is I gotta fix the threshold. The set screw for this fancy Rotex coupler seemed to have backed out, so it was just floating on the shaft in there, which is not great, but it's not ideal. So I believe that it got turned into pulp and then kicked out the side here of this bracket that goes between the hydraulic motor and the gas engine. So my thought was, but I can't get that lucky, so new parts are coming. Anyway, gas engine going back in, and I'm probably going to throw some gasoline back in the tank and walk it down and go do some digging so we can get back to the real task at hand here. Well, got it back together. We're down here on my little dirt pile, so for ease of filming, I'm going to just start with the orifice plates, and then I'll take them out and then go back through the springs and whatnot. I will probably just do a time-lapse quick one. I'll do a little more digging off camera, and then I guess after I get done, if there's something that's like wildly better or worse, I will film that in real speed. But in order to try and keep this under the longest video I've ever made, I'll try and speed things up here. Well, that was orifice plates. No finesse. I was just ramming controls on these little guys. They don't really seem to like to feather like a bigger backhoe would, but for what we were just doing there, you're ramming it around, and then just popping the stick there if you hit the pressure relief, which I turned mine back a little bit. Evidently it's still high because I did snuff it out that one time. But yeah, so it moves slower, and then it grabs something, and then there is a little bit of a lag, I guess. Not much, like half a second. So I'm gonna go grab the crescent wrench. I think I'm gonna put the bigger orifice plates in it just for my own deal here. Probably not gonna film that one, and then I will go no orifice plates and move everything around in editing and get caught back up. Well, there we have it. There was some time-lapse video of the different options. Can't really tell much, but I guess you can see that I did roughly the same amount. I actually dug around a little more and used these 3D printed guys. They feel great when you put them on. Like when I was up by the garage testing it, I thought these were going to be hands down blowout winners. They're probably too stiff. Now, if you're just going to be messing around and you're going to try and do some tight work or finesse work, maybe these are the ticket. They're easy to put on, they're easy to take off. I guess we've already got like not permanent wrinkles, I guess, but longevity would be my question on these. Talking with the guy, he was hoping that if he could figure out how to get them shipped flat rate or something, I believe he said that he'd be in the $15 range. He also said that they're tunable, so you can change how much squish they have. You can make them stiffer, you can make them less stiff. I would recommend making them less stiff if you could keep the same diameter or thickness, I guess, to try and keep some of that lip from digging in and cutting it. Maybe make them a little bit softer, because you do gotta push, and boy, if you sat on that thing for 2-3 hours, I bet you're gonna be a hurting unit. Next up was my $8 spring from Menards. It works pretty good. I think the tension is just right on this one, this Menard spring. The biggest issue, and I'll show you, compared to the springpilot.com, is that right there. This one is not flat. Now a guy could get this hot, press it down, make it work. You could put more time into this and make it better. The other big concern is there is some sharp edges here. I'm still not convinced. I haven't tore it apart to see, but a lot of people talking about scratching those pistons will end up in leading to a big issue. I don't see how the outside chrome part of that piston is a sealing surface, but I don't know how that works. So anyway, and then we come down to springpilot.com springs, option number 1 and option number 2. Now, option 1 is slightly, and I mean slightly, shorter than the second option. It is less, number 1 is less resistance, number 2 is more resistance. Now, here's my recommendation to springpilot.com. If you can make the spring that much taller, you will have tension as soon as you move it. Right now, they're like the perfect height for the plungers. So as soon as you hit it, it touches, but you're missing a little bit. There's too much free play in the center, in my opinion, on these guys. Now these are coated, like I said, so they're supposed to be scratch resistant to the inside. I would say the original ones that he has here are good for, I guess I would say that these are probably what the factory should come with stock. This is how it should feel factory. The number 2s are more resistance, and up there by the garage, I thought there's no way, you know, they're too short, they're not stiff enough, there's not enough pressure to move. I was wrong. I think these Spring Mods number 2 is probably the winner when it comes to performance. When you go to start getting into how much money you want to put in this little guy, maybe the $8 spring is the way to go, because it's all 8 for $8, and a guy could just take a little butane torch, heat that up, get it down there, but you're missing the inside coating. We're just kind of rambling now, but really Oh, I forgot about the most important underdog, which really isn't in this conversation, but the orifice plates. Yeah, Pro, boy does it make it better. The relief, or the valves in the handles want to be open fully. They do not want to creep. You do not want to try and caress stuff with the valves. It lugs down the engine. It messes up the poor system of hydraulics that the Mini already has. But you put them orifice plates in there, which I will probably put them underneath the hood there. That's why I haven't buttoned that up. But they are pretty slick. The bigger orifice plates probably didn't do enough, in my opinion. I'm not sure. Maybe I could put the bigger ones in the turn, the slew motor system, to slow that down a little bit. But the problem is, you want speed in that one. When you're turning and digging, you start slowing that system down, it's gonna be really noticeable that something different's going on there. But as far as digging power, what it lets you do is open up that pressure valve, not pulling down the engine or the hydraulic motor system, and it stops the fluid from flowing. It slows down the fluid from flowing without messing up and snorting the engine. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up with a combination of all of these things put together and see if I can make this thing buttery smooth. Now I'm not sure which ones to use here. I'm pretty tight about it, because honestly I think all the springs, I guess let's get right to it. Spring mod number 1, it's probably perfect for somebody. This one's not for me. Number 2 and my stock spring, or my menard spring, are really close, tied up there. This one, like I said, it's probably too stiff. He said he could make changes based on some opinions. I guess longevity is the concern there, but if they're at 15 bucks, you know, if you get, I don't know, 20 hours out of them, you're probably doing pretty good, and just buy another set, I guess. But yeah, so I'm gonna mess around here off camera, and I will fill in everybody what I come up with. But yeah, orifice plates are probably the winner. Major downside on orifice plates is the restriction of fluid will cause more heat in the system. Now, if you've got some fans and if you got some other things going on, you're probably going to be all right with that. But it's a thing to be concerned about. And then the next thing is cavitation, or I wish I would have went to that hydraulics class, but when you have a small hole and then the fluid coming in and there's air in the system, or even just contaminated fluid, there'll be a bunch of turbulence on the back side of that hole. Just think about like a jet coming out into a pool. The jet pushes, and then there's always turbulent water right up above that jet, because it's trying to push through the fluid, and the fluid starts coming around. You can start doing some electrolysis with that. You can get us into some issues. Now, maybe that's a reason to go to the larger hole and then do the rest with springs and everything else. Turn the flow valve down. But, you know, that can be a real issue, because what'll happen is it'll wear a hole in the steel like a 1/8 of an inch past the orifice plate, because of the way that the turbulence is in there and it's crashing around. But anyway, that's enough rambling, and I guess I don't really have a clear winner. I'm gonna put them all together and make one super buttery smooth machine here. All right, I have one shot at this. This is no, if I can get the camera to stand still. There's no movie magic here. I turned down the main flow control. I added 2 different size orifice plates to the top and bottom of the everybody wants to call it the dipper and the boom, or the bucket, I guess. The main boom, I added 2 different sizes. The stick that pulls in, 1 large size hole. The bucket, 1 large on the curl, one small on the extend. Running at about I don't know, 1400 RPM. My RPM gauge doesn't read correctly, but I'm going to attempt to pick up that watermelon with my thumb. I'll spin it around, lift it up as high as I can, and drop it. Like I say, I got one shot, I got one watermelon. There we have it. Moral of the story is, if you want it to be pretty smooth for what it is, you should probably get a couple different things. Orifice plates have their dangers. Some hydraulics guy will chime in and tell me about how extremely dangerous they are, and I understand, but they sure slows down the jerking around of this thing. Anyway, I ended up with spring mods number 2 in there. Just because my springs curl up out of there and I don't feel like messing around with a torch when I've got a set of springs right here. So, moral of the story is, this is a long video and I hope you made it through.